Oh shit!
Give me 10 seconds. Jeff, can you get the door for me? Or I'm out of here. Break a leg. Break a leg? I'm only going on the porch. Even though my neighbors do have a trampoline on their porch.
Did you ever figure out that whatever was going on with that dog last week?
No, I haven't. I haven't. You know what? I haven't heard it since. I'm afraid to ask.
Now it's hot dog, dead dog.
Yeah. All of a sudden, the hot dog truck has been coming around more often. He hasn't came around in a while. Usually, when we have a bad dog like that in the neighborhood, like a couple of days after the dog stops barking, you do hear the hot dog guy coming around. It's the only time they ever come around here. You would think they have like a semi-annual hot dog guy, but no, that's every quarterly, and a dog gets out around here and becomes lunch. I think we sell them. It's Redner's brand.
It ain't Nathan's, but it'll work.
I had some goof come in today, and I must get it. I don't know, 3 times a week. Hey, where's your Scrapple? I'm
Scrapple?
like, yeah. I said, who the fuck wants Scrapple? Do
Isn't
you know
that
what it is?
Well, that's a Pennsylvania thing, isn't it? Like
It's basically a Pennsylvania, Baltimore. It's kind of like that little area thing. Because every time my mom comes up to visit, she buys like 12 pounds of it. Because they sell it in like 1 pound thing. I ain't touching it. There's no chance I'm touching it.
Isn't it like scrambled eggs, but with a bunch of add-ins like chunked ham?
No, it's all the leftover of the pig.
Oh,
it's like ham salad.
Oh God,
I don't know what you guys call it, but yeah.
Nate, would that be what ham salad is?
No, I don't think Scrapple's the same thing. I've never eaten it. I've heard about it though, like on a food show or something that I was talking, like where they were talking about like regional foods that you don't find elsewhere.
It comes in it looks like a little, like not even a little brick. It's about mid-size between like, I guess like a Hershey miniature and like an actual brick. It's like it comes.
Jesus.
You really could if you put 3 of them in a pillowcase and you whack somebody over the head with it. I thought and scrappled it.
Snitches get scrapples. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely. I know it's a Baltimore thing, but it might be just a Baltimore. I don't think it's even Virginia. I think it's Baltimore, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, because when I saw whenever I was watching the show when they were talking about regional foods, it was in Pennsylvania where they were talking about it. So, yeah,
that's a Dutch thing up here. The Dutch market's huge up here at our big. We have a weekly Saturday and Sunday big flea market here. It's its own place, indoor and outdoor.
Mm-hmm.
And the Amish have it. Archie Mitchell.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here. I was wondering who the hell. I thought I wasn't expecting to see another box like at all. Because I
Googled what is really in Scrapple, and Google says is essentially a type of meat pudding. Scrapple is usually made of finely minced ground pork meat and offal spices and coarse flour such as cornmeal or buckwheat.
Buckwheat?
That's what it says.
Oh,
you might as well throw in some alfalfa sprouts.
And it says offal, Offal.
I think they mean awful.
Yeah, and that's how I kind of read it. Finely minced ground pork meat and offal.
But I'm telling you, it ain't telling you what part of the pork with the pig that it is. I'm telling you, it's the leftovers. Because I mean, you got the bacon, you got the pork chops. I mean, you can basically break down a pig, and there's not a whole lot left. And then
it says Scrapple can tastes like liverwurst or French country pate, depending on the mix of ingredients.
Oh, just the word pate alone. Oh,
Some scrapple is made without liver, and depending on how much sage is in the recipe, can taste like a breakfast sausage.
good Lord.
Let's play this taste test. Is it scrapple or is it diaper filling? Fucking
It's-
gross.
Why do they threw the word butter in there? I mean, yeah, like pudding. Like it's none of that stuff.
Is it safe to say that scrapple may be what's inside of a hot dog?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But just without a casing?
It's
Like they should have just
yeah.
said. In other words, they should have just said. In other words, it tastes like any fancy feast.
Right. It looks like it too.
You rate fancy feast? That's scrapple.
I'll send you guys a can.
Please don't. I've already had Vegemite. It was not good.
I'll make it like into a dookie. I'll get like a fake gold
Oh,
can,
God.
like a Volkswagen medallion, and it said it would be scrapple. I mean,
I'm sure the 3 days in a box being shipped will make it look even better.
I'll throw a nice tray in there.
Oh, okay.
Well, we want to get started and see how much mileage we get out of this thing.
3-day-old scapple in a hot box. Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna text my buddy Chris and tell him because he can make a song out of that.
I was going to say, that sounds like a song title. 3-day-old scrapple in a hot box.
Yeah, like every time we come up with something stupid like that, it becomes a song.
It's a Louis
It's gotta be a
Armstrong
blue- it's gotta be a-
Armstrong classic.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's got to be blues.
Scrapple neck.
Scrapple Neck Johnson.
He sang with his back to the crowd, and he had horrible gas all the time.
Scrapple Neck Johnson. He sold his soul to the devil so he could play the 3-string fucking guitar.
You know he's black, right?
He's Latin.
He's black.
Oh, but I said Latin.
All right, so he's half black, half Latin.
He's Dutch.
He's Dutch.
World's first Dutch blues artist. Yeah.
Dutch blues singer, Scrapple Neck Johnson.
And he only sings in Dutch.
Scrapple and oats.
Scrapple and oats.
Scrapple and oats. He's like, she's a poor girl.
And you know what? Eat scrapple.
She can't afford spam.
So she's got to eat Scrapple anyway.
That's her jam.
Her mother didn't earn no money. Oh, her mother didn't earn no money. She's a poor girl. So she's got to eat Scrapple anyway.
You guys ever heard of barbecue loaf?
What?
You ever heard of barbecue loaf?
Barbecue loaf. No.
Yeah. It's just as bad, except they just try to cover it up in barbecue flavoring.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Like at
Barbecue
the,
loaf. He's a rat out of hell. That barbecue loaf.
yeah, when like I used to work for a small local chain of a deli kind of convenience store, and it's like an upscale one at that. And the one that I was trained on didn't have like head cheese or like.
Yeah.
But the further down, like the food chain and how quality of the stores were, I started seeing like head cheese and barbecue loaf. And then my buddy who was working with me at one store far away he goes, I need a half a pound of yo loaf. And I went, what the fuck did he say? Yo
loaf.
And he goes, barbecue loaf. Oh, and I went, you've got to be kidding me.
Barbecue loaf.
Since I'm leaving all this in, as you can all hear, we have begun the recording of Reliving the Extreme this week, talking about
Barbecue loaf
And
Scrapple.
Scrapple.
And we're just going to leave it all in. Nate Maxon here with you, along, of course, with my brother Aaron.
Hello.
Chad Austin.
What's up? This is going to be the night the Scrapple was crossed.
And the fourth man. We finally have a fourth co-host on the show for this week. A man who has only been mentioned by name here. We name drop him every single week. He is the host of If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking here on the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network. Yes, finally, I have Archie Mitchell and Chad Austin on the same show. Welcome to Reliving the Extreme, Archie.
Thank you for having me, and I can guarantee you I am not cooking any scrapple or barbecue loaf, folks.
You're not going to top it off in between 2 slices of head cheese.
Now we know what Archie is not cooking.
That's what I'm not cooking.
Welcome to the
Archie, welcome to the show. Finally,
thank you guys. I'm happy to be here.
So what is he such scared of me that I can't even see his profile on the camera? He's not on my thing.
Archie, he wants to see what you look like.
Oh, there he is.
The big reveal.
Oh, Scrapple Nick.
It was me. It was me, Chad. It was me all along.
You were a Scrapple assassin?
Yes.
Which
The Scrappler.
He
The
was
Scrappler.
I'm the
He was
Scrappler.
the leader of the Ministry of Scrapple.
Yes.
Yes.
The Scrapplers.
Just me,
Scrappler.
Viscera. Just me, Viscera, Midian, and the barbecue loaf himself.
Hey, we're only 11 minutes in, and I popped Chad.
Dude,
The Scrappler.
we've been talking about Scrapple for about 35 minutes anyway.
I know, but I just popped you and called him the Scrappler.
Aaron, I imagine the Scrappler being in a full body suit with a mask, but the full body suit is like poo color. It's like brown, with black eyes around it. He looks like a raccoon or a big turd.
The Scrappler and the Spoiler could be a tag team.
Because the Scrapple spoils whatever you're going to do later.
Yeah. you deal with the Scrappler and then you end up getting poisoned or spoiled.
Yeah, Scrappler's outfit. He looks like Mr. Hanky from
Right.
fucking South Park.
Unbelievable, man. Yeah, this is great. This is the first time me and Archie ever got to talk other than beating up each other in our group page.
Yeah. We always seem to mention each other no matter what.
Oh, dude, I made that once I did it. I think it was maybe twice, and then I think I want to say it was Aaron that kind of caught on to it. Then even in my notes every week, I wrote insert Archie Mitchell joke.
That is funny. Okay, I didn't know you put that. I thought it would just happen organically.
Well, sometimes it does, but I have like all my notebooks of like all the shows that I've ever done and everything, and like I'm gonna leave them to Jess so when I die she can auction them off.
Oh God, people are gonna look in those books in 100 years, going, "Who the fuck is Archie Mitchell? And why was Chad so obsessed with him?"
Yeah. I got notebooks and notebooks and notebooks from the old podcasts that we have done, and sometimes nobody's going to get what you wrote down but you.
Right.
And I could read just 2 words that if somebody could look at it and not mean anything, but I'll just go, oh shit, I remember that. You know what I mean? Like how we got there. That's kind of how I work.
Well, this week we don't have much of an ECW show to talk about at all. It's the episode from 11/1/94. They are in the home stretch going into November to Remember.
We ain't going to the home stretch to anything.
This is true.
It just happened.
True.
Yeah.
It would always just happen.
It's still happening.
Right.
Before we get to, again, like I said, it's not going to be. We're not going to have a lot to talk about the ECW show, so why don't we do our weekly segment this week and dig into Chad Austin's Wikipedia page?
Oh, we haven't done it already the whole entire.
No, we have not. There's still quite. I was looking at it. I'm like, well, shit. There's quite a bit of this left. I can get quite a few more weeks out of this.
Just a quick. I have to apologize. I updated his Wikipedia page like 3 days ago, so anything on there might or might not be true.
Well, you're gonna have to cut.
Well, you can do that.
No, I'm kidding. You can, but I didn't do that.
Oh, I don't care.
What a rib!
I got nothing to do with my Wikipedia page. I didn't. Somebody had to tell me there was one, and then when I read it, I was like, dude, none of this is right.
When we get to, and it says September 15th, 1999, Chad beat The Rock in the Garden. We'll know where Archie edited it. Yeah,
right.
That's my birthday, by the way.
That's ironic.
Mine's the 19th, so we're 4 days apart.
Dude, my whole family. My dad only got lucky one night a year. my brothers and sisters were all like, we're like 13. I think I have an older brother, like an older brother that's like 14. I'm 15. My sister's 16. And there's at least 2 other birthdays in our family in September, but they're like in the 20, 21st, 22nd
That's awesome.
range.
That's awesome. Virgos are good people.
If we have to,
all the good ones are done because I'm the only one that's left.
Oh, damn.
if we have to for time,
I'm the last Virgo standing here.
Well, I'll stand with you for now. For now.
if we have to, if we have to for time, I have Sal Balomo's Wikipedia page brought up.
Oh.
Well, we'll see where we're at.
Yeah, we'll be done, but we'll be way done by the time we want to do this one. I'll make us done. I'll stretch this bitch out for another 45 minutes.
Well, here's the next paragraph. At Hardcore Heaven 1995, a tag match between Chad and the Broad Street Bully against Dino Sendoff and Donnie Allen ended in a no contest when 911, as he did the previous year, entered the ring and choke slammed all 4 men. He and Donnie Allen also lost to Dances with Dudley and Dudley at Gangsta's Paradise on August 16th. So there's ECW stuff, but here we go. Here, I like it when we do the non-ECW stuff. Slavinsky also defeated Raven for the MEWF Mid-Atlantic Championship on October 1st, 1995.
Okay.
Is his name only Slavinsky? One name?
Simply Slavinsky.
That's right,
wow.
dude.
Wow.
And it's going to be the only name that Vince wouldn't want to be shorter.
Right. Right.
You got to be Slavinsky.
Right.
We have Riddle, we have Theory, and we have Slavinsky.
Slavinsky.
You can't be Slimp.
It's
Maybe.
2 syllables in my name, and it's too much for Vince. But it somehow rolls off his tongue. Slavinsky.
So the MEWF, was that like
It was the only game in town.
okay, so that was pre-MCW then, right? There wasn't an MCW yet?
MCW came out of MEWF.
Okay.
Like Maryland's so screwed up when it comes to getting promoters licenses. Like there was only 2 of them that were issued in the state, and they wouldn't like give you any more. And dealing with Maryland is a pain in the ass, dude. Like they make money off of wrestling and boxing up here. Dude, they get a part of the gate. They have a whole physical medical background protocol that costs money because it costs money to do the physicals.
Right.
You got to get a license. That costs money. Like just making money in Maryland is difficult because I heard people complaining before on our local page about the ticket prices. And Danny does the best that he can because he's not paying shit for the building. He runs his school out of that building. So it's not like he's not paying rent to travel the ring, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I mean he don't have a shit ton of overhead. But yeah, Maryland is brutal, man. Like I've always wanted to run a show, but I could if it was somewhere else that didn't really have a commission, I don't know how to handle it. I couldn't do it in Maryland. I would have to have somebody help me, and that's not the way I'd want to run a show.
Right. Let's see. He lost the title to Corporal Punishment on November 12th after it was declared vacant the next month. And after it was declared vacant the next month, lost the title to Devin Storm in a match to determine the new champion.
Yeah, I think I never lost to Devin Storm. I lost to Devin Storm, but I should have been way gone out of the picture out of the championship picture by then.
How was working with Devin Storm?
Hated it. We just didn't. I mean, we talked and stuff, but we just didn't gel. Because basically, when I work like good high flyers, like the SATs and stuff like that, you don't have to be as good as them to do your high spots. But Devin Storm was as good as me. So it looked like 2 just sloppy independent guys trying to high spot each other. And I just knew it wasn't going to gel, because Raven would never have done that shit with me. You know, right? He would have known what I could do, but I didn't know enough about him to tell him what we should do, and he didn't know enough about me to tell me what I should do. We just kind of put it together, and we're just like, first time touch,
Right.
could have better.
But he wasn't like sloppy or anything. It was just.
No, he just wasn't. He's not Scorpio. Yeah, he's a lot like me. He's not perfect.
All right.
What else did I do?
So, well, and I'm actually, for the sake of the show, for the future, because I don't want to really dig into the New Jack shit until we actually get to the New Jack shit. So I'm going to skip that. And that's the last ECW thing. We're going to skip that for the sake of future episodes. So leaving ECW shortly after the New Jack incident, Slavinsky began competing in the Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation. A month before his run-in with New Jack, he had wrestled Steve Corino in Baltimore. Any memories of wrestling Corino? Was he?
I loved him because he wasn't the Steve Corino that he is today.
Mm-hmm.
He was I would say he was probably greener than me, but not a whole lot. Maybe I had him by a year, 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a Brandy guy, a Tom Brandy guy, and. Yeah, we had like a really good match. Like we had it was a 3-way ladder match, and neither me or him were going over. So we decided that we were going to destroy the ladder, so that whoever was going to win had to make this ladder functional. Because Dennis was only going to buy one ladder, so we just kept doing like high spots, like putting the opponent up against it. And the other guy would jump off, and he would just kick it in the middle, like in the little legs. Oh, dude, it was we used to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, it worked, but it was brutal. We're laying there trying to sell, like we had to hold the ladder. Like laying there, we looked like schlubs.
All right. So his next sentence: his injuries, meaning you, caused him to miss a year of ring time before eventually returning to the ring in early '97. Were you really out for a year?
I wasn't even out for a full week.
So who wrote this?
I told you. I'm sure I told you after this. Okay, all right. What was this? This would have been on a Saturday night, right?
Yeah, this is. Well, it just says.
No, I'm just saying. When was this show that we're reviewing? It was probably a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how about this? I arrived in Little Rock, Arkansas, and got what's called a Betty bus. It's a free shuttle all the way to the little town that I had to go to because I was staying there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the next day, or if it wasn't the next day, it was the next day. So, I mean, that must mean I have amazing recuperative powers. My broken leg healed not even overnight.
You're a machine like Cena. It's crazy.
In 12 hours, my broken leg healed up.
In one of his first matches back, he was scheduled to headline a National Wrestling League show in Boonesboro, Maryland, with Devin Storm on April 22nd, 1997, but the match was canceled when Storm was unable to appear.
Oh, okay. Then maybe that's when, oh, man. That could have been when they wanted to put me against, I guess one of the guys, cause I knew who was running the show. And the guy who was kind of booking the show wanted to put him against me. And then he wanted to go over. And I told him that I couldn't put him over. And it was like a bought show. So there was probably 700 people, give or take. But it could have been 7. It could have been 850 people there. It was a bought show. And he wanted to go over. And I told him, I said, I can't. It's not that I wouldn't. It's just that I can't because I'm starting to get pushed like on ECW TV as an underneath guy, So technically I should be beating underneath guys, which I guess you technically are. And he didn't see it that way, and it was like we never had any arguments over it. He was just like, "All right, I'm sorry you feel that way." And I'm like, "It's not that I wouldn't do it. I put you over in a heartbeat if I wasn't already on TV like 3 days ago."
Right. Chad lost to I'm interested to know who this might be, if you even know. Maybe it's just Mark Starr. But Chad lost to the Cat Burglar in a three-way dance with Steve Carino for the MEWF Light Heavyweight Championship on September 18th, 1998.
Discount Repo Man.
Dude, the Cat Burglar is the best. I love Bert, man. Bert's awesome. Like, I don't even know how he got into the business.
Why didn't he go by Bert the Cat Burglar?
Hold on. The Cat Burglar's name is Bert?
Bert, yes.
Oh, it's fucking great.
The Cat Burglar. He was great. Like, he was small. He was probably my size, maybe even a little smaller. But we put him in like that black zip jumpsuit gimmick. And we put the little thing around his eyes, like he had to wear gloves. And you're not gonna believe how he made his debut. Take a guess how he made his debut.
What did he steal?
He didn't steal anything. He fell through the ceiling tile.
That's perfect. Oh my God.
We had him crawling. We had him crawling across the ceiling, and then we just took we put like tape across one of the ceiling tiles for where he's supposed to stop at, and it was already like crisscross. So all he had to do is just put some weight into it. It would take it right out of the track, and sure enough, we're like laying there, and boom, here comes the Cat Burglar, just crashing through the ceiling.
Did he come out to the Pink Panther theme? Please tell me he came out to the Pink
No,
Panther.
he came out to the 007, whatever, at Mr. Secret Agent Man or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. But
I think that's fantastic booking for a Cat Burglar to let him come through the ceiling. I love it.
Dude, we had a guy that he wasn't even fully trained, but we named him Knuckles Sandwich, right? And
we've heard that name on Nate's show.
Yeah,
What's
on
that?
the Slice of Time show, I'll go through indie results sometimes, and we've had that name. We've had that name pop up in the indie results. Yeah.
Oh my God, we had some doozies, man. We used to make. I mean, the Pat Patterson Jr. is extraordinary. Yeah, dude, we've had. You can. I mean, if you're an insider, you can always see the rib or whatever kind of thing, but. Yeah, man, we had some. Gordon Dressel. Oh, wait till you get a hold of Gordon Dressel, Mr. Destiny. Oh, this guy, he was all archied up. He had it on his spandex. He had Destiny on his ass, right? And you could barely see it because his ass was so flabby that the letters were all crooked.
Oh,
it was yeah, he was bad, and he was one of them guys that I can't stand. These guys, I can't even stand it when the name guys do it. Oh my God, is that another moped again? And when these guys that always they're constantly pulling up their trunks after they get slammed.
We've talked about that with Ian Rotten. Yeah.
Oh, dude, Ian has to pull up his trunks after he locks up. After they say his name.
It's literally his gimmick at this point.
I hated it. I even hated it, because Dusty was terrible. Dusty was awful in the early, even in the mid '80s. Well, mid '80s not so much because a lot of his gigs on TV, he was wearing a suit and shit. But Dusty's a blatant blader, man.
Mm-hmm.
You can always see him, and then. If you know what to look for, you can always. And the camera guy doesn't know, you can always see the guy outside just laying there, covering himself up. And you're not going to see that in the WWE.
On October 1st, 1999, Chad wrestled Jake Daniels for the Bad Cruz Hardway Wrestling in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
I don't have any. I'm not saying it didn't happen because that would have been. I wrestled there a lot. Bad Crew was great, man. I love working for them guys. You ever heard? Well, they came in ECW later on. They were there when Paul was running the towns that they ran because they also had a license.
I was going to say I distinctly remember them, but I don't remember them.
They would make like 2 appearances, like on the weekly show, on like Street Hardcore TV. I remember them a couple times.
Yeah,
And then they'd go away,
got,
and then, like you said, they'd come right back a year later. You know what I mean?
Eventually, they got the gangstered. Like that was their ending too.
Mm-hmm.
I think they may have gotten a win. It wasn't against us. I don't think. It wasn't against me and my cohorts, Dino or Diney or Joel. We all drove together. We all drove together on a bus, a Greyhound. Like none of us had a car. That's how we traveled.
And one more sentence in this paragraph, and then we'll dive into this very short edition of ECW. But it's actually a guy I wanted to ask you about because I used to see the name all the time in the magazines and stuff. Chad also wrestled for Atlantic Terror Championship Wrestling and Cue Ball Carmichael's Independent Pro Wrestling Alliance.
Hell yeah, Cue Ball.
Cue Ball Carmichael was a name from the magazines when I was a teenager. I
wouldn't necessarily call him a name.
Well, okay, and a name on paper that I remember. I don't know if I've ever seen him wrestle though, to be honest with you.
Well, honestly, you're not really doing yourself a favor. It's kind of an injustice. Because if you like the kind of wrestling that I like, he's the kind of wrestler you want to watch. He's not very polished, great guy because we ended up figuring out a way to cover up how bad he was, and mainly it was not let him wrestle, but we put him in our group of Total Quality Management because all we did was take all the guys that were working on every show but didn't have anything to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like he was one of them guys that didn't have anything to do, and he wasn't good. Like, and that's not a knock on him. He'd probably admit that he might know psychology, but he doesn't have good execution. That's anybody. I can just tell how good somebody is when I see their clothesline.
And with him having a promotion here, obviously they're talking about, was he a wrestler that became a promoter, or was he a promoter that put himself in the ring? Or don't you know?
Probably wrestler first, because I know he wrestled in like. I want to say he may have wrestled in like 89 or 90. Like he may have been one of them hams that went down like a bunch of the local guys. They drove down to Georgia to work some indies down there for no money, and it was just for the experience and just for the fun of it. And they took a camera and filmed it all. And I think he may have been on that shit.
All right. Well, are you guys ready to?
Archie, Guess what?
What's that?
Remember we were talking about at the beginning of the show, like the one piece of meat?
The scrapple?
Yes. Well, I'm reading my notes. I'm looking ahead and seeing where we're at. And you're not going to believe what one of the words I wrote down is.
Scrabble?
Well, it's not scrapple. It's spam.
Spam.
Wow.
This is the processed pork edition of the Reliving the Extreme podcast.
The pork byproduct.
Archie, did you actually watch the episode of the show? I know you were kind of doing a run-in this week, so.
I've seen not all of it. I had to conk out like the last 20 minutes because my granddaughter was running all around.
You watched 6 minutes of this fucking show?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, folks, this episode of ECW is from November the 1st, 1994. We start the show off with Joey Styles doing an opening discussing November to Remember coming up this weekend, which is going to be November the 5th. And my note was Joey's being a great hype man here. He was the perfect guy for this company because he is a great hype man.
Of course he is. I mean, he's got several luxuries to afford him, but I'm sure he didn't take advantage of any of them because he didn't need it. There's a reason why he had a very, very good job at an insurance company in Connecticut, and yet he would still take the train down like every Monday or whatever from Connecticut to come down and edit TV. And then he'd spend his weekends down at the arena too. So yeah, what a great guy. I don't think anybody's ever had a bad word to say about Joey.
And the note I have of it is the opening video.
Yes.
Like it's the first like real extreme championship wrestling opening montage that they have, because I didn't see Hawk in it, and I didn't see like fucking Sal and all that shit. You know what I mean? Like this was this was the ECW beginning video that I remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't consider the ECW that I think was the ECW that should be was I know where we were at, but I can't tell you the building exactly. But it was the weekend that they brought in Malenko, Hector Guerrero, all them guys for that weekend because we ran like a rodeo like pavilion because it was in a Hispanic town, so we had brought in Hector.
Mm-hmm.
And that was some good stuff there, man. That whole I think a lot of the guys I think that we had Sabu and Benoit on that. I used to like that town, man. That was a cool little place.
In Pennsylvania somewhere?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay, I'll have to look into it and see because I don't remember. Was it
I don't
TV?
know. I don't know if there wasn't a fan cam because that's before that kind of even started.
Right.
If there, I don't know. I don't recall, but I would have thought that if you're going to have like Guerrero or whatever, and a couple of these other decent names, you would probably want to get. Now we haven't seen Ray yet, right?
No.
All right, so then I'm just trying to think who Hector could have possibly worked because I knew we were wrestling in a couple of Hispanic towns in the next couple of days.
I understand that, but that's not what I was saying. Like I was just talking with the opening video of like the montage of the show. You know what I mean? Like this is the first one where it was like I didn't see like fucking Hawk or.
Oh, you mean that it wasn't their traditional opening?
Yeah, it wasn't like the traditional montage of
where they're in they see the shit from the sports bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Bow, 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 bow. Yeah, that's some Mitchell shit.
Archie. Chad.
Archie, your thoughts on Joey's Open here? I mean, I know we kind of covered it, but being the hype man and
I have to say that Joey Styles was and always will be the voice of ECW. He was by far one of the best announcers in the business. I don't care if it was early ECW or at the ending of ECW. And he will that's why he will always be the only one-man broadcast booth in the business. You know what I mean? No one ever did it after him or before him. So fantastic. He did his job.
Yeah,
other than maybe sorry guys.
Tremendous. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I would say other than like Lance Russell doing the Coliseum shows, doing some.
But
that
wasn't technically commentary.
Right? Yeah.
That was basically color. I mean, and he didn't describe anything.
Lawler,
pile driver.
Joey Styles is a fucking natural, and like I think Joey Styles should be put in and you guys can boo me if you want, but I think Joey should be put in the same level as like Jim Ross. I really do.
I'll go one step further than that. I think if the grand scheme of things, if ECW was on top of the world, and Joey Styles was still a one-man commentator, and they were still doing it successfully and making money, and they were big, and everybody saw him. He could win a Marconi. He could have won a Marconi because the stuff that he did as a one-man person, you know, with a little bit of guidance in his ear, basically was detail driven. Like it's unheard of. I mean,
yes,
Jim Ross wouldn't even be the same, I don't think, without somebody else there. Especially at this age. I mean, seriously, Jim Ross needs people there.
it's Wednesday night. You know what that means.
I think it's Wednesday night.
I think it's Wednesday night. Now,
I'm not trying to put like a Joey Styles now versus like a 76-year-old Jim Ross. I'm just saying Joey is at this time, and I think you could put Joey on TV now, and he'd be,
of course,
10 times better.
Well, he obviously couldn't do it. He couldn't do it alone because every wrestling show is 7.5 hours long now. But yeah, he could be every bit as good as a play-by-play guy as anybody.
And he could also be just as effective if he was playing color to Michael Cole, but as also a straight man.
Right.
Because he could just add that extra color to it, and he wouldn't have to have any outlandish stuff. He could just still do the, oh my gods. And
yeah, but they tried that with Jerry Lawler, and they weren't meshing well because Jerry was like kind of stepping on Joey as much as he could. You know what I mean? And then he had McMahon in his ear too, which was getting him angry. So Joey in the WWE, unless he was doing the studio stuff, he was doing the best of ECW and those, WWE Network specials and things like that. He was fantastic, but calling WWE matches, he wasn't meshing well because they didn't let him be him.
Well, it might be a different story after 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, everything seems like a different story.
With no Vince in your ear, it's a completely different ball.
Well, there's somebody in their ear. It doesn't have to be Vince, but somebody is in their ear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there has to be a director. Yeah. I mean, but
and during ECW, wasn't Paulie in Joey's ear a lot of the time?
What, during the commentary?
Yeah,
it depends on what show it was, but a lot of times the commentary was done post. Like
right.
I mean, if he was doing commentary at the show live, then it'd be up on not the Eagle's Nest. It'd be up on that thing where Brian Lee threw like Dreamer off of.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it so the crowd could see it. You would see him up there because there was no curtain hiding them. They were just up on this higher stage, and they were kind of like as far back as they could put them, as long as the cables reached. But yeah, they were, he was awesome, man. Joey, him and I don't know, him and Cornette maybe could. What do you think about that too?
That would be a good duo.
I even enjoyed when it was him and Joel Gertner for the ending of ECW. You know what I mean? And his rapport with Don
Callis.
Don Callis wasn't bad either.
Yeah, the Joel Gertner stuff. I'm sure that was a director, like that was probably 88% involved in that one. And who was the other one again? Don Callis.
Yeah,
that was all Don Callis. I don't think anybody's going to direct Don Callis. He's going to get his shit in no matter what you tell him to do,
The next thing we have on the show here, and again, there's not a lot to talk about because nothing on it is new, but they are showing us footage of Cactus Jack and Sabu. And the positive of it is, I think it's none of the footage is fresh, but what's fresh about it is Paul Heyman is narrating the footage.
Yeah, he added something to his name. Did you catch that one?
No, I didn't.
It was the most. What did it call Sabu? He was the most homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, pedophilia in the business today. You got to go back and rewind it.
Smell my mustache. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I thought this was an effective way. Obviously, if you're not going to have any first run shit, this was an effective way to. At this point, this company is still, like I say, I try to put in perspective when I watch it. It's still an independent company, a regional independent company, and the point is to get people to come to the arena and watch the show. And this video, did its purpose. It served its purpose in hyping the match and getting people to want to come to the ECW arena.
It did more justice than probably Aaron the matches. Like probably even if you cut them up, it probably did better than Aaron any of the matches, and it's because the arena is just so different. Like them matches were not TV matches, you know. They weren't like they were not even if they were designed to go 7 to 9, they still went 15.
Yes, and we've talked about it before. You have so much going on sometimes the camera's not catching even half of what's going on. You just see a guy with a frying pan in the air, but you don't see him actually clock the other guy. You know what I mean? Like it's just I don't know.
Oh yeah, you hear the crowd pop, but the camera can't catch it because there's nobody there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their production, man, it was Mickey Mouse. It was Mitchell Mouse as a motherfucker.
Oh boy.
I love how his picture still ain't there. It's just a big circle with a little dot in the middle.
Because I'm listening to this show with you guys and doing it with you while I'm on the toilet. I don't want anybody to see me.
Oh, I thought we were in the Archiverse.
No.
No,
No, you have to be invited into the Archiverse. I thought Nate told you.
There's a cover charge. I can't afford it.
I'm waiting for a scholarship to my Archiversity.
All you have to do is ask.
I know I got to sling some more milk and scrapple at my day job because the wrestling business didn't cut it.
Aaron, any comments on this segment, or Archie, either one of you guys?
Well, I think were we talking about Sabu and Chris Benoit?
No, we're just talking about Paul Heyman narrating the video, hyping the two matches coming up in November. Remember?
I think Aaron walked back to the liquor store again.
No,
in between that last like a minute and a half.
The Paul Heyman narrating that shit was fucking fantastic.
Well, who else is going to get it over?
Like, it's Paul doing what he does best.
Of course. Post-produce.
Getting the most out of, like, nothing.
Yeah, look how long I lasted. Jesus, I still got a couple more wins coming up, I think.
Yeah. The house guest's still going to call you. You know what I mean? It's like, this shit was fucking gold.
Gold, Jerry.
You said you have a couple more wins coming up. Is that because 911 started getting tired of picking your ass up?
No. I think I did win by reverse decision on 911 because he took me so many times that the referee said if you do it again you're gonna be disqualified. I think it was just to pad my record. so I could still be the ultimate underdog, I guess. I don't know. I took the chokeslam one time. I want to say I bet you it was 6 times in 3 days. And it was like once Friday, maybe twice on Saturday, and then TV tapings on Sunday. I think I took it 3 times. I look at the lineup and it just said 911, and then it had like a couple of lines because it said Chad Austin and Donnie Allen versus 911. It would have been in hour 1. It was like the second or third match, and then it was Chad Austin and I think Joel Heartburn and against 911, and then later on it became Chad Austin and I guess he's gonna look around the locker room and see you as Trunks versus 911.
Well, the next thing we get on the CCW show is it's Public Enemy and Bad Breed in the base brawl match.
Isn't that
or
again?
The brawl game or whatever it was called.
We reviewed it.
Yes, we've already reviewed this, and they show us the whole goddamn match on this episode of ECW.
Yeah, it was horrible core.
It was like, why? Yeah, this is already stinky. Why did you show it to me again? You know, the only note that I put was the frying pan shots are sick and stupid.
This
Public Enemy wins with a drive-by.
This is from August 13th, 1994.
This is the match that involved the frying pan.
Yeah.
And frying pans were so cheap. Didn't we bring this up for other shit? Where they would send Fitz down to that little corner store to buy like some accoutrements? because it was like a shitty, like as seen on TV store kind of. It wasn't, but it wasn't even. It was as almost seen on TV. And they sold all kinds of that stuff, and they would send Fitz down there with like $50 to buy like some pots and pans, and especially when fucking New Jack's ass came in, and what do you think? He had a suitcase for his camouflage. Oh, he came even wearing his camouflage. And he had a suitcase for his pots and pans.
I mean, he didn't walk around with that trash can all day long?
As far as I've seen it, he did. Collecting fucking crack.
A trash can full of crack and pots and pans. Yeah.
And a random Nintendo.
And believe me, he's the only dude in South Philadelphia that can get away with it. And still wheel that shit in the travel lodge. And leave his door open.
But yeah, this match was longer than it needed to be, uglier than it needed to be. The other thing I did write that was positive, I guess, was, and you guys can disagree with me if you want, but I thought to their credit, I thought Rocco Rock and Axel during this match at points had their working shoes on. I mean, they did some decent stuff together.
Yeah, Axel could work. And Rocco had been in the business probably as long as Rocco. Mm-hmm. And at this point, we're probably talking about, if not 10 years, knocking on it.
Right. And
they both worked everywhere. Like, but in different areas. But yeah. Axel got lucky, man. When he was 15 and 16, he got to travel to Georgia and worked like the shitty independents in Georgia. Like, that's where he got, in my opinion, he got his best education there. It wasn't global.
Who would have been veterans working there at that time?
With what again?
In Georgia, where Axel was in Georgia when he was working there. Who would have been the veterans working there at that time? Do you know?
Oh man, I bet you Joel Deaton's name's probably thrown in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Allen. I know probably not even any of the top guys because he was a kid.
Okay.
So he was probably just doing first, second matches, and I gotta find it. I have the video of it. They shot. It's Dave DeWade, the referee. It's this African dude, AJ Fritzoy, doing a black surfer gimmick. Axel, and they're all like teenagers in some big ass Pontiac or some shit. Look like the Mac.
Well, after this match, we have they show us footage from November to Remember last year, and even though we may at times criticize the way the production and everything is at this point, you look back on last year, a year ago when we're doing this show, and boy, have we come a long way in a year. Looking back at November to Remember '93, you still got Jim Neidhart out there last year at this time at November to Remember '93. So the company's made huge strides over 365 days.
I mean, the talent level may have shrunk as far as overall name value, but they got more mileage out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, who are our biggest names going into this right now? I mean, Sabu was a borderline, like nobody, just making a name. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We had Funk.
Funk.
You know, Benoit had credibility, but he had never been anywhere yet, really, except, you know, maybe Japan. You know, he wasn't a national name yet.
Right.
We had great talent. It was just not, it was cheaper. Imagine trying to book all that talent, you know, 4 years later. Good luck with that one.
Aaron, any comments there?
Huh?
Yeah,
Huh? He's still thinking about the Public Enemy match.
Well, the next thing is, Joey is talking to us about kind of the big angle going into the event at November to Remember, the Sandman retirement. And, of course, we will next week be reviewing the show, the actual November to Remember show, so we'll get to the meat of that later. But he shows us a video recapping everything that's happened between Sandman and Tommy Dreamer. And then we go into a match or footage or footage of a match between Dreamer and Tony Stetson. And woman actually throws Tommy Dreamer the cane during the match, which is kind of a teaser of, because they've been teasing who is woman going to manage now that she's dumped the Sandman. And we all know what's going to happen, but what did you guys think of this? What did you guys think of this as a way to entice people to come to the ECW arena on November 5th for November to Remember?
I enjoyed the Tommy Dreamer Sandman, the way that got built up, whether it was just woman being involved or the way that, Tommy tried to console the Sandman after it happened and everything that went on. I happen to think that Tommy and Sandman, you're okay with her?
Well, you weren't here with us last week or the week before where we got to watch the Tommy Cairo.
Yeah,
footage.
that was
tomatoes, peppers.
But
did it again.
Tommy and Sandman had a fantastic chemistry with each other, whether they were tag team partners or wrestling. And I loved woman's interaction with it up until she left for WCW.
There are two other guys that are so bad they work well together. I mean, they're not good. Cairo's a way better worker. And Sandman is what it was, but he wasn't the Sandman that he became yet.
Mm-hmm.
So he was still trying to be, I could work Sandman. And Cairo was just trying to work. It looked like he just got off of work.
Aaron, any thoughts here? I think Aaron's froze. Maybe.
He gave up.
Aaron, you okay?
Yeah, move on. He hadn't brought anything to the table yet anyway.
Aaron's got stage fright.
When has that ever happened? But anyway.
Got a case of the Mitchells.
Came on this show, and all it's been is shot after shot. So I'll tell you what, Mr. Chad Austin.
No, please don't challenge me to a match.
Oh, no. I'm here to lay it down on the line after the PWI 500 ends on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. We do a little something called the Book or the Box. It's a trivia challenge. And I happen to be the champion there.
Okay, I happen to have never won one.
Well, if you got the balls
and
you
be
want the belt,
wrestling of the championship wrestling of trivia, go. But yeah, I'll take you on. I mean, as long as only under one condition, as long as one of the answers is Mr. Wrestling number 2.
That's always an answer to any of those questions that we answer.
I'm just getting down the ground rules.
Usually Levani Kai or some shit.
Right. My favorite though was he was Jewish. He was Jewish. They asked us a question from the book. What nationality was so? And then we were like, "What? How are we supposed to know that?" And then the answer was he was Jewish.
I always think when we have wrestling trivia at Jimmy's Famous Seafood here, like at least once a month, and I go every once in a while, and I find a couple of the local comedians that hang out there and do the trivia, and they're wrestling fans, and we team up together, and man, we stink. Like, we could tell you all about like the history of Baton Rouge, but they ask a question about SummerSlam like '92. Like some random question. What was the third match?
That's what I was going to say. I would get lost. I would get lost after probably. So
90 something.
I'm 43. My peak fandom probably ended around WrestleMania 17 with Austin and Rock. After they started doing brand extensions and shit in WWE, I get lost in the fog sometimes. I can't remember. They're like, who won the main event of Backlash 2010? I don't fucking know. Was The Miz there? Because he probably won.
That's right. That's the shit that I'm no good at. I'm not really even all that fantastic at the most minute stuff about like the old shit, but Nobody's going to even try to pretend to dig that stuff up. It's going to be, you talk about the Mid-South Coliseum or shit like that. Bill Watts. You throw anything Bill Watts has done out there.
Mhm.
Well, I will allow Nate to dig up some Chad Austin questions for you to make it a little bit not easier, but more to your liking, if you'd like, if you will accept
I don't
the
care.
invitation.
Dude, I'll lose to you like I lose to everybody else. I don't care.
My God.
So we'll make the next trivia. The next trivia will be a triple threat. It'll be Archie, Aaron, and
Please.
Chad, and I'll
Aaron's
bow
going to keep
out.
losing his connection.
I think Mark Brew wants in on that one as well.
All right,
So
and
it
I'll
might
be
end
the
up being a
host.
fatal four-way.
I'll take Kendall's spot as the host.
Well, that's
Kendall's gonna be
85%
mad.
of our listening base.
Right.
Great. At least we know we're gonna get like seven likes. we're all gonna download the show after you put it up, Nate. And you'll probably go.
You got to
through it 2
download it
times.
twice, Chad.
Gotta download it twice. So what was next on ECW now that I've laid out my challenge to Mr. Austin?
The show is over.
Buck Robley. See, I've already started prepping.
The show is over. The ECW show is over.
But Buddy Rose.
We will next week. We're gonna actually get to watch November to Remember and
Booty
review
pit
that.
bulls. I forgot to get my booty pit bulls in.
My absolute favorite pay-per-view from ECW was the November to Remember.
Yep, I don't think I was on it.
That's why it was my favorite. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, I think November was not a. I can't actually recall how many, but most of the time November was a bad month for me because either I did that one show like I talked about at the one November to Remember where the Maryland Bought show, and then the other time I may have been wrestling down south somewhere because that was around the time frame when I would take off. But yeah, maybe I'm not on this one. I'm still gonna be on the opening though.
We are taking a choke slam.
I'm still going to be giving Chris Benoit a headache after he dives the top rope in the opening and gives me his headbutt. And you didn't see it, but he rolled over in agony.
We are going to review that next week, and apparently we are going to do this live on Facebook. So if you're a member of our Facebook group, tune in for that next week. We'll get a time and a date for you as soon as we are able to coordinate that. Archie.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us this week. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Any parting words for our listeners before we sign off?
Listen to the best show on WrestleNet Radio and the We Can't Wrestle Podcast Network, which is Reliving the Extreme. It is Aaron's baby. He is the mastermind behind it. Chad, Nate, and Aaron are the three best guys in the booth.
We're the only guys in the booth.
Well,
except
you guys.
for you?
Well, no. What I mean is except for Bobby Heenan and Tony Schiavone and Mike today, you guys are the best three-man team. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Word.
So, see, I can put people over, Mr. Austin, but no, you like to throw daggers.
Every day of my life, I'm better than Jeff Farmer. So
that's true.
That's what I take to bed every night. And
well, you're better than Motley Cruz.
No, probably not.
I love that we don't know if Aaron has been able to hear any of this, and he's been moving around the whole time, but he can't talk.
What about the Kentucky Butcher from Bruiser Bedlam?
Oh, Jesus.
He's one of the worst I've ever seen. I've seen some doozies, dude. Believe me. Like one of these days, I'm going to send you this tape I made well over 20, well, maybe even 30 years ago. I called it Wrestling's Cheapest Matches.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
Oh,
dude,
actually,
I begged for a copy and haven't got one yet.
It's still, if I wanted to, it could still be in the making, but it's got to be 4 hours plus. I mean, just like, it's got like the whole Mike Boyette, and whatever run on there. It's got just some classic old WWF TV matches, like when they went national. And they had the Good Ring and Slaughter era, that kind of stuff. Like some of the best job guys. Steve King, come on, dude.
Aaron, you have yourself muted. Unmute yourself.
If you're Steve King and you come all the way from Panama City, Florida, every single week and you get your ass whipped, eventually I'll just stop coming. I haven't beat anybody on the roster.
Aaron, any parting words for our listeners this week?
It's hysterical. Hello.
Aaron's playing the Peaches promo.
Peppers, whatever you want, we got it. Fresh fruit.
That's what he was doing the whole time, trying to find that promo. Like, are you trying to tell us that we couldn't fill an hour time with Archie and me beat each other up? And
Right.
8 minutes on the show.
Garden, enjoying my vegetables, my fruits. After all this whole month sitting here, tending to the garden, I'm enjoying the fruit. And you know what I enjoy the most? Sitting around here all afternoon, eating peaches.
Jesus. I'm going to the country. Gonna eat me a lot of peaches. Like if that video would have been done in like 1997 and Paul was still doing that shit. As soon as he said peaches, you hear that song. and then he would have edited it to peaches come in a can.
You know what? If Cairo never came out to that song, that's a missed fucking opportunity.
Oh, imagine Tommy Cairo coming out of the Hambone Arena. The Peaches.
Like he's not growing peaches under the ring. He's got some peaches under the ring. While he's on top of the ring eating the peaches. Just so it's the same gimmick. And then if you want to, you can go outside and grab some straggly weeds and throw them in the ring apron, sticking out. Just to make it look like he's got a garden underneath there.
All right, Aaron. Now, legitimately, any parting words this week?
My parting words are: I appreciate you guys listening to the Reliving the Extreme podcast and listen to all the other shows under the umbrella of the We Can't Wrestle network. Reliving the Extreme. If you smell what the arch is cooking, year that was, all that shit. Just thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate it.
The only way we grow is through your support, ladies and gentlemen. So let people know about the show if you like it. I know last week this show in particular was number 125 on wrestling shows on the Apple podcasts. So we are definitely always in the top 150, generally in the top 115. We peaked at like 88 at one point. So I mean, we do decent numbers, but we don't grow without your support. So get out there, let people know about us, let people know about Chad's Twitter, let people know about the Reliving the Extreme Facebook group and the podcast itself.
Archie Mitchell.
And Archie Mitchell, if you smell what the arch is cooking, and the entire WrestleNet Radio podcast network.
We can't grow without your stimulation.
That's right. We're growing.
You are the tomatoes, the peppers. We need
Of our
you to
loins?
grow. Peaches, the fresh fruits. You are the fresh fruits, ladies and gentlemen.
You are the scrapple to our barbecue loaf.
Don't call our listeners scrapple. God damn it, Mitchell.
I know who's left. Who are you calling scrapple? We got Archie on. Who else is listening?
Mark, David, Cheyenne.
Have we got anything from Zellner? Bixen's fan?
They're too busy catching their breath. They had to walk up the steps.
Nothing from them goofs?
Hey, one of the funniest things they ever did, I don't know if you heard it, Chad. One of the funniest things they ever did on the 605. And it was still when Bix was there. He was still on the show. But did you ever hear the thing that Brian Last did where he, you know how Bix will go, when he's thinking? And did you ever hear the thing where Brian Last mixed it with the Immigrant Song?
No.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I have to try to find it and send it to you. It's so funny.
Yeah, post it, tag me, or send it to me directly. I love seeing. See, I would have never made fun of Bix nowhere near as bad as until I saw the picture that Aaron that sent me. Because I totally was like, I don't think this is a shoot. And then he's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, that's really what he looks like.
Oh, Bix's fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a fucking damp badger.
That's what I had pictured in my mind for Archie.
No, Archie looks like I don't want to say it. Like
Abe
Archie,
Vigoda, right, Archie?
That's
I
right,
think
Nate.
I think he's
That's
gone.
an inside joke.
he
That's
looks
right,
like
Nate.
he looks like Abe Vigoda with like diabetes.
What about Tom Casati, the Penguin? But I know we talked about him. He was the guy that he was a manager, but he would also book all these like halfway decent names and pay him himself, just so he could travel with them, and he'd buy the hotels and take them to expensive like vacations, selling them they're booked, and then when you get there, the show was accidentally canceled. I know I've sent you the picture of that we made up of him, like a wanted poster.
I think so.
I'll post it on the group page because I had the last remaining copies, and I went and made like hundreds of copies of them. So even I had people even asking me, even Whipwreck. Whipwreck and McDevitt are both like, do you still have the Tom Casati posters? Because they were going to do some kind of gimmick because of him dying. Like, not a benefit or anything, but use it as an angle. I was like, sure I do. I know exactly where they're at.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us this week on Reliving the Extreme. Like I said, next week we will be covering November to Remember 1994. And Archie, now that you've had your official appearance on the show, we'll go ahead and open the invitation any week that we are recording and you want to participate. You just let me know.
So the forbidden door is open?
Yes.
All right.
No, he didn't say it was the Frigidaire door.
The Frigidaire door is open?
The Frigidaire door is open. He said the Frigidaire door is open. All right.
Have a great week, everybody. And we'll see you next week here on Reliving the Extreme.
Toodaloo.